Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the Bitcoin to the U.S. dollar. This is the 1-hour chart on Coinbase. And yesterday, guys, we discussed this move. Price came back down. I discussed how retail investors reacted to this move. I told you that they were getting much wiser, and that was a healthier sign overall in the market here, and that is still true to this day. We saw price come back up. I told you yesterday, as price came up here, I told you more than likely we were going to expect a bit of a correction coming back down for a retest. That's exactly what we saw. If I pull our fib here, we go swing low, swing high. We can see price came back down, perfect bounce right off the 382 fib, and then ended up coming back up to test our resistance up here at 63.60. Now that 63.60 price came back up, tested that resistance. We had a rejection there, guys, and here we sit right now at about 63.38 at the moment. Now I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if I pull. Actually, let me zoom in here so you guys can see a little bit better. If I look at this and I draw an arrow from wick to wick here, you can see that there was that price came up and created a slightly higher high. Now if I look at my MACD and I go down to the same point. This is again on the hourly chart. What do I see? I could see that the MACD was creating a lower high. So obviously that is a bearish divergence. And of course, we're seeing that bearish divergence now with that rejection of price there. Now that was pretty severe bearish divergence on the hourly chart. However, we're not seeing it on the RSI. Why do I point that out? I point that out because I wouldn't be surprised, given the severity of the MACD, the bearish divergence on MACD, I wouldn't be surprised to see price come back down, possibly retest this zone again. And of course, that's going to be extremely telling to see how price reacts once we do test this zone. If price comes back down, test this zone, end up coming back up, we could possibly consolidate right on top of it. What I'd like to see is coming back down, testing this zone, guys, and then just a nice explosion back up to penetrate this 63.60. If we do end up breaking below this zone, so if price does penetrate about 62.90, price does go below 62.90, I think it'll be more than likely a very quick drop right back down to this zone. Whoop, that was way too high. Right back down to this zone right in here, more than likely at about 62.60, 62.50, somewhere thereabouts for a retest. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I don't want to. So for now, guys, we're going to be, let me pull into the 4-hour chart so you can see a little bit better. For now, what we're watching, guys, we're obviously watching this zone here, waiting to see if we can get this retest, and then waiting to see how price reacts into this zone. This is still very, very, retail investors are still acting much, much wiser than they were before, as I pointed out yesterday, guys. What happened when we had price rise over here, rise in the last 8 hours? We actually, if we come over here and we look at our short positions on Bitcoin, I get to the 4 hours so you can see a little bit better. We can see that short positions continue to fall off the board. So short continue to fall, or short positions, I should say, continue to fall. But long positions actually fell as well in the last 8 hours. So with that rise in price, long positions actually dropped. Why is that significant? It tells you that, again, retail investors are getting much wiser to this. They're willing to take profit. So the guys that bought down here are taking profit up here. So when price came back up, it tested this resistance area right in here. Soon, more than likely, they had their sell orders sitting up at this resistance, knowing that we could get a bounce off the resistance. Price came back up, hit that resistance, triggered their sell orders, and of course, that's exactly what happened. They ended up selling. Price came right back down a little bit. But again, that shows you how market makers, or excuse me, how retail investors are just getting much, much wiser. Typically, anytime price would rise in the past, you would get retail investors chasing price and entering into long positions, and we're no longer seeing that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this ends up playing out, guys. But I am very, very optimistic that retail is getting wiser to these games. Now, I do think that market makers are trying some different tactics. We just had the CEO of BitMEX. I lost his name now, but the CEO of BitMEX, which is basically the exchange that does the exchange that does the most volume by far. It is a margin exchange. You can trade margin. You can trade on leverage off that exchange. That the CEO came out and announced that he thinks that the bear market could extend another 18 months. Now that is pure trying. That is trying to why would he do that? Why would he come out and announce that? In my opinion, he's trying to get people, because shorts are falling off the board here, and they are falling off big time because shorts are falling off the board here. In my opinion, I think that he wants to see shorts start to stack again. I think he wants shorts to stack And if that does happen, I think market makers would clean out possibly price would, in the short term, price would drop, and then as shorts start to stack higher and higher, eventually they're just going to clobber them by market makers are going to clobber them by running a massive short squeeze. BitMEX is where so much of the manipulation takes place. So I find it very, very funny that the CEO is coming out. In fact, I do have this article somewhere. Where do I have it? Here it is. Here it is. Yeah, so the CEO of BitMEX, here it is. CEO of largest crypto exchange believes the Bitcoin bears are here to stay. Arthur Hayes, that's the guy's name. So he's calling for the bear market, the stamina bears to, bears have the stamina to keep control of the crypto market for at least 18 months longer. That's basically what he's saying. Then he goes in blah, 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 explaining why he does that or why he's thinking that. So I find that extremely interesting that he would come out and announce that, guys. That is pure manipulation. Always ask why. Always ask why someone would say that, why someone would do that. So if you see shorts start to stack here in the next week or so, they start to stack, especially if you see short stack and long start to drop off the board. In my opinion, guys, that's going to mean, even if you see price drop in the short term, in my opinion, that's going to be setting up for a massive short squeeze, a massive rise in price, if that does happen. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see if it has. As of right now, that's not what's happening at all. But if that does start to happen, I want you guys to keep an eye on that. I want you guys to start thinking market psychology and how this is working and how manipulated this market has been for so long. So this is a game. This is a zero-sum game. For someone to make money, someone has to lose money. So always keep your mind on the psychology of this. Let me pull up the volume here. With volume as low as it is, remember, volume is sitting right now at 3.7 billion. For Bitcoin, that is very, very low. That is very pathetic. I mean, if you come over here and you look at the volume, the historical volume, and if we look all the way back to that's not what I wanted. If we look at the historical volume, guys, and we go all the way back to December of last year, what do we see? Volume 14 billion, 10 billion, 16 billion, 21, 23 billion. Remember, we're sitting at 3.7 billion right now. 18 billion, 15 billion on a day-to-day basis. I mean, this was 18, 20 billion, or excuse me, 18 billion, 20. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, this is the kind of volume that was happening. And today we're sitting at 3.7 billion. So volume is, I point that out to say that it shows you the lower the volume is, the easier it is for market makers to manipulate the market. So they could literally drive price any way they want to right now. So keep that in mind. Until we start seeing volume above 10 billion on a consecutive basis, this could be very manipulated, and you want to make sure that you're not going to get caught in any kind of a trap. So always ask yourself why the influential traders, why the influential money is doing what it's doing, and why it's saying what it's saying. Remember, if I zoom out here, guys, look at the overall trend here. We are still trading within a very tight range. We're still continuing to create a series of lower highs and higher lows, and we have not broken out of that yet. Remember, until we break out of this range, the top of which sits at 67.50, the bottom of which sits at 61.15, until one of those two areas are broken, we have not started a new trend, and we need a new trend in order to find out where price is going. For right now, guys, I can see price literally going in either direction. So even though we're getting even though retail investors are getting much, much wiser, and that is a healthy sign in the market, even though that is a very healthy sign, that does not mean that we're going on a bull run just yet. So until we break one of those two price points, until we start creating lower lows or higher highs, until we establish a new trend, all we can do is trade that range. And if you're not comfortable trading the range, then just hands off, wait for now, wait for that new trend to establish. If you don't catch the bottom, guys, as I always tell you, that is fine. You don't have to catch the bottom at all. All right, so let's come up. All you have to do is find out a new trend and make sure you have money on the side for when you do have that trend, and we can start forecasting forecasting price in a much more reliable way. All right, this is looking at the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. We're looking at our moving averages and Bollinger Bands. We can see that price is coming up, hitting the upper Bollinger Band as of right now. Of course, we had that rejection. Let's wait and see. We also have a rejection off the 50-day moving average and the 55-day EMA. I'd like to see price break above on the 4-hour, above at least the 55-day EMA, but definitely above the 50-day moving average. If we can get above that 50-day moving average on the 4-hour, that's going to be an extremely bullish sign in my opinion. Looking at the daily, I told you yesterday that I wanted to see price break above the 8-day EMA on the daily chart. chart. We did break above it briefly here. We got pushed right back down. It's finding resistance on that 8-day EMA now. I want to see the daily candle close above this 8-day EMA. In my opinion, that would signal that at least the bulls still are fighting. If we get rejected far below this 8-day EMA, guys, it's going to be a very bearish sign. Now, what I really want to see on the daily chart, guys, and what I tell you guys all the time, a break above the 21-day EMA on the daily chart usually signals a momentum shift. In this instance, it would be a momentum shift in favor of the bulls. Of course, if we were above and broke below the 21-day EMA, that would be a momentum shift in favor of the bears. So right now we're below. If we can break above decisively, by decisively, if we can get a daily candle that opens and closes above this 21-day EMA, then that's going to be an extremely bullish sign, and in my opinion would signal or would be a good sign of a possible momentum shift in favor of the bulls. So let's wait and see if we can get that, but keep your eyes on that, guys. That's what we're going to be watching for now. Excuse me. Looking at our weekly RSI, as I pointed out yesterday, we're still getting squeezed tighter and tighter here. There's really hardly any more room for this thing to go. We should get a breakout of this RSI on the weekly at any time now. More than likely, and then at least within the next week or so. And if I come over here and I look at the daily, I still want to see a break above the above 50 on the RSI, on the daily RSI, I should say. Obviously, we have not broken above 50 in a very long time. We haven't broken decisively above 50 since the beginning of September. So let's wait. So let's see if we can get this a break above the 50-day, above the above 50 RSI. That would be a decisive break. Not like this or this, but a decisive break with consolidation above 50 on the daily RSI, guys, would be an extremely bullish sign in my opinion. So to wrap this up, guys, basically what we're watching is to see if we can break above 6360, above this resistance right here, and consolidate above that zone. That'd be a very bullish sign of strength if that does happen. Of course, we're watching for this retest here, and also if we know that if 6300 does break down, very likely we're going to come back down to this zone down here at about 6250 at least. Possibly testing again 62.35. Of course, if 62.35 does break, guys, we could decisively break. We could be coming much, much, much lower. If you're still holding your position down here, remember, guys, I told you anything below 62.35 was a decent place to start dollar cost averaging into a buy. So when price broke down here, of course, that triggered my buy order here and here, a little bit further here. So I am into a position. I'm still holding on to my position. I did not close my position even when we came up here. But technically, guys, I told you guys anything below 62.35 is a good buy. And of course, I would sell targeting 63.60 and above. This is where I'm looking to sell. Now, personally, I'm going to wait until I'm going to see if we can break above 63.60. I'm going to hold my position that triggered down here was so small because I dollar cost averaged in. I had some buys here, a little bit more here, and a little bit more here. We only whipped down into the first layer of my buys, which was very, very small. So my position is very small. I'm just going to go ahead and hold on to that position for now. My stop loss has been raised, so I'm going to be in profit no matter what. My stop loss sits now at, I had it down here. I had my stop loss sitting all the way to actually down here at 61.15. Of course, I raised my stop loss now. My stop loss now sits at about 62.50. So either way, no matter what happens, I'm going to be in profit, guys. But I'm just letting you know, I always want to be transparent with you. I did not sell up here. I am still holding on to my position. If you're a more conservative trader, what I would do is at the very least, if you bought down here, increase your stop loss. But if you'd like to, go ahead and sell, knowing that this thing could break down. By all means, go ahead and take your profit. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if this thing does explode and takes back off again, you didn't lose any money. You made money. Pat yourself on the back and know there's going to be a lot more money to be made going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I do appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.